Good morning. Good morning. Java Delight will uplift you. Stay tuned. The show is about to begin. Grab your coffee. Stay tuned. This show is about to begin.
Hello. So I've been thrown in the deep end and I'm here alone today. I am extremely nervous, so please just bear with me. Hello, Bob. Thanks for joining us. Today is Wellness Wednesday. I spoke to Brandon earlier. He's still not well. We're wishing you well, Brandon. And then Sherry as well. We just want to give a shout out to her. She's going in for her operation today. So we're sending you love and light, Sherry. And I am in the... I have been thrown in the deep end. I have never done a live all by myself. Hello, Jay. I've never done a live all by myself, so this is my first time. We'll see at the end if it went well or not. We have Wellness Wednesday, and then we've got Wow as well. Whip them out Wednesday. So we'll start with that. It's been 2 weeks since my challenge that I have taken on not wearing a bra for breast cancer, and I just want to read you something that Mr. You can still help. I'll send you the link. I'll send you the link now. Hang on for a second. Let me do that first. You guys are so awesome. Let me just go copy to clipboard, Facebook. You both are more than welcome to help me. There we go. Sending you the link. See how I get helped out here by the universe with two amazing people that's jumping up to help me. Thank you so much, guys. You are amazing. Okay, so let me get to what I got for you with Mr. Sydney Singer. Hang on for a second quickly. Let me just get to that page. So this is just some information on how bras cause breast cancer for somebody that might have missed the interview and are not aware of what WOW stands for. It's Whip Them Out Wednesday, where we are bringing awareness to breast cancer and not wearing a bra, but still keeping it classy and telling the people how it affects you mentally and physically, the positive points of not wearing a bra. But let me first read this to you. It says, how bras cause breast cancer. It says, impaired lymphatics is central to the etiology of breast cancer. The lymphatic system is part of the immune system and is responsible for the circulation of interstitial, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, fluid. This fluid develops from the bloodstream, delivering nutrition and oxygen to the cells, along with toxins that are in the bloodstream as a result of contaminants in our air, water, and food. The lymphatic system consists of microscopic vessels with one-way valves that lead to lymph nodes. Lymph fluid passively passes into the lymphatic vessels to be eliminated from the tissue, inspected by the lymph nodes, and returned to the bloodstream. Metabolic toxins delivered to the cells from our petrochemically polluted air, food, and water are removed from the tissue by the lymphatic system. In addition, pathogens and cancer cells are also swept through the lymphatic to the lymph nodes, where an immune response is elicited. However, when the tiny, easily compressed lymphatic vessels are constricted by tight bras, this fluid channel becomes restricted, causing a variety of problems. Most women who wear bras experience breast pain and cysts as a result of. In addition, the resulting lymph congestion of the tissue results in reduced toxin elimination, causing the progressive toxification of the breast. The local tissue environment becomes low in oxygen, reducing the body's ability to process free radicals. The resulting accumulation of the endogenous and exogenous toxins increase cancer risk significantly. Hi, CK. I am sending you the link now, Bob. Give me a second there. I'm so glad that you guys could join us. Really, really, I am. I'm very excited. I'm very excited to be here with you today. I'm just quickly trying to send this link to Uncle Bob so that he can jump on with me. Another angel just helping me out. Yeah, let's paste. Uncle Bob, it's in your inbox. How is your guys' Wednesday been? CK, how have you been? I haven't seen you in a while. I miss you so much. I saw your post and I always read them. Yours, Bob's, Jessica's, you guys are so what do you say? Inspiring. Sorry, my English is leaving me. I think it's my nerves. I have no idea who we have on for Wellness Wednesday, but our guest is a very, very, very interesting interview today. He was the cast director for Shawshank Redemption, and that is one of my favorite movies.
I just threw my jacket on really quickly here.
I was like, okay, I do not know how to talk to myself when other people are watching. I talk to myself on a daily basis, but this is new.
No, I mean, this is why I started doing, one of the reasons why I started doing my show is because I was doing all like Facebook lives and stuff alone, and I hated talking to myself. So I felt for you this morning as I was sitting and relaxing on my couch, you know, just chilling this morning. And I was like, oh God, they left her alone. I have to go help.
I see Uncle Bob's here as well.
Bob Seymour.
Hey, good morning.
How are you doing?
Cold.
Is it cold where you are?
Yeah, it's really cold. There was ice on top
wow.
of Natasha this morning.
Wow.
Not good.
And where you are, Jessica, is it cold there yet?
No, I had to crank up my AC again yesterday.
Hey, stop that shit.
Hey, listen, Bob, my door has been open to you, my friend.
I hear you. I'll go through it one of these days.
I see Sika, but she says she's bringing out a book. Let me just get that. You can hold a captive audience all alone because you're so delightful and wonderfully engaged. Marwan, thank you so much. I did not expect that. She says Sika says she's releasing a new book this week.
Yes, she's always working on a book. And I told her, it's so funny because I have one whole shelf on my bookcase in front of me that's all people that have been on the Breakthrough Show. And then I joke with her all the time, I'm going to have an entire shelf of just CK Ford books.
CK books.
That's it.
Yeah, I need to get her to hook me up with a ghostwriter. I try and write a book. I just can't wrap my head around it.
Do you want a ghostwriter?
Yeah, I've got about 4 books in my head. I mean, it's like crazy. So
I also got a lot of books in my head, but putting it on paper, I am not good with that. I am so bad. I write things down and then I go, this sounds horrible.
I get one started, but it's just not go. Well, the damn thing's going to be like War and Peace about that thick when I get done.
The process though of once you start, because I was never a writer, even when I was in school, like I really struggled. Like the teacher would always say, you know, read this book and then summarize, and I would basically rewrite the entire book because I couldn't summarize. But when back in 2017, when I was presented with the opportunity to write for Shine, which is a compilation of stories, I said, I don't know if I can do this because writing's not really my thing, and I've always been really bad at it, whatever. But if you're in that process of working really closely with an editor, they don't let you screw up. Like you basically, because I told my story, and the fun part about writing for a compilation book is you're limited on how many words you can write. So I was forced to rein it in, Jessica, rein it in.
I never read a book in my life until I was damn near 30 years old. Even in school, I cheated on it all. I read the beginning, the foreword, and I never read a book. One book. My older brother had a learning disability. Yeah, we had this book fair, and he bought this book called Homer Price and the Donut Factory. And I read that to him under the blankets at night with a flashlight. It's the only book I ever read until I was almost 30 years old. I went to high school 5 times. I went to sign in my oldest boy. Went one time when he got in trouble in school. Signed in my youngest boy. Went to his graduation, and one time when I was a kid, I went to a donkey basketball game. It's the only time I was ever in high school. I quit going to school, and I joined the Marine Corps and got educated.
I've only finished 3 books in my life, and that is what's that? Christian Grey books.
Oh,
the only books I've ever read and the only books I've ever finished. The rest I start reading and I'm like, this shit's not for me. I'd rather watch the movie.
Yeah, now I write for a magazine over in North Carolina. I never passed an English class in my life. I mean, I have a 7th grade education. Last grade I completed. I pretty much self-taught, man. It's been crazy.
Funny enough, I read a thing on Facebook or somewhere where it says that God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called.
Absolutely. I mean,
so he doesn't care how many books I read.
I only have a 7th grade education, but I went to a Bible college university. But they never asked me about my former education, so I didn't tell them. So I've got a 4-year degree in pastoral theology. Man, I was the oldest guy in the class because, God, I was well up in my 30s, almost 40 when I went to school, and all these kids were like 18 to like 21, 22 going to this seminary thing, and I kicked their asses. I graduated #1 in the class. I mean, I kicked their stinking asses, man.
Oh, that is so awesome. Morning,
but I had been a licensed pastor. I didn't have formal education, but I was doing the work and stuff, so I had that up on them, the life experience. But I had fun kicking their asses, man.
That is so awesome. Mr. Jaber that said hello. He says, morning all. Non-tech, does it say techies too? Oh, you saw me struggle with the link. Thank you so much for bringing that up.
No, he's been trying to help me out with some techie stuff, man, and I'm clueless. I'll figure it out, Jay. Honest to God, I will.
Eventually, someone will press the right button.
Yeah.
Oh my
Press
gosh.
all of them.
The technology is interesting, right? Because I think, we all 3 of us have been alive through the process of not having anything to all of a sudden having all the things. And it's been an interesting experience, at least for me, because watching my kids too, when my oldest was born, he's 20, we had a computer and stuff, but they were real, brand new, didn't really do a whole lot of things. And then now my 5-year-old, she's like, I don't need your help. I'm asking her to help me. She's like, can you log me into this? I'm like, I don't know how. Go figure it out.
My youngest is also 5, so she'll video call me from her dad's phone, and then you can see she's busy with something. And I'm like, what are you doing on your dad's phone? She says, no, I'm just checking his messages and going through his photos and stuff. I'm like, oh my word. It's like unlocks it and everything. I'm like, that's dangerous.
My 8-year-old granddaughter taught me how to use my phone and this little computerized thing here. I couldn't do it.
Thank goodness for grandchildren that
Yeah.
know what to do.
Yeah, they're so much better than kids, man. Oh my God. My wife and I prayed for like 20 years that there'd be life after children, man. There was, and there is, man. But grandkids, man, they're so much better than kids. I'll take them any day of the week.
I'm not ready for that. They might be better, but I'm not ready for that yet. Don't push me there yet, Bob.
My youngest is also 20, and I'm like, I'm way too young to be called granny or something. So please, but she doesn't want any kids. I don't know. I think that the children of today don't want children.
Hey, I gotta ask you. I rode from Chicago the last couple of days, and I just would stop every once in a while and check. And I saw you with a bald head. Said something about them. What the hell was that all about?
So there's this filter on Snapchat that makes you bald, and I was bored, so I'm sitting here and I think, well, let me see what it looks like, because I've thought a couple of times, if this hair irritates me and I have a bad head, I just want to take the shaver and shave it off. So I thought, let me see what it looks like. So I put it on my status, and I don't tell anybody that it's a filter, but I got people messaging me that I haven't spoken to in ages, asking me, why did you cut your hair? I'm like, no, I'm not that crazy.
Way to work the algorithm, Ilse. Way to work it, because that's how you get people to pay attention.
I was in a rest area somewhere in Nebraska out in the middle of nowhere, and I saw that, and I said, what the hell's the matter with that woman? She's out of her freaking mind, man.
But then you must see the people pop up. You get these strange people that's on your Facebook that you know from nowhere, and they tell you, you still look beautiful. And then you get people that know you that ask you, are you fucking crazy?
I'm with them, honey. Don't do it.
My cousin actually sent me a thing on or commented under the photo as well. You had the most beautiful hair. I'm gonna come kick your ass.
Isn't that funny though, how people react about hair? Because it really does. It can become such a big part of our identity. And I grew up in that environment. My grandmother owned a beauty salon, and my mother was a hairdresser for a little while. It wasn't something she wanted to do long term. I think she was trying to follow in my grandmother's footsteps and all of that. So literally, you look through all of my pictures from the time that I was a baby, and like I have a different hairstyle in every picture, because that's just the environment that I grew up in. But you know, I even with that, like my hair is super long, and it's been real. I've worn it long for years, and when I cut it, I don't know. What was it? 2017, I think, was the last time I cut a lot off at one time, and I cut like 2 feet off, and it was still this long. And so it becomes a part of who you are. And I have to, like, anytime I want to cut a lot off, I have to remind myself it grows back. This is not like a big deal, you know?
Fast, it, though.
Not that
it does for me. It does for me. I cut, when did I get it done? November of 2020. I was about 6 inches shorter than this.
My ponytail was down about the middle of my back last year about this time, but I jumped on Bullwinkle and I rode from Georgia over to North Carolina. And when I went through South Carolina, I stopped at the border and took the helmet off. And I just had a head bag on, and I didn't realize that I lost a rubber band out of my ponytail somewhere along the way. I stopped back at the North Carolina border, put the helmet back on, and finished the ride. And I got there, and I had one big knot on the back of my head. And I mean, we spent hours trying to get it, and I just said, cut that damn thing off, man. It was the first time since I was the day I got out of the Marine Corps that I had a haircut, man. And I just said, to hell with it. The beard, it's been a year. And I went deer hunting, and I just said, you know what, I ain't the hell with it. I'm going to just not shave. So November turned into December, and now here I am. Keeps
It
the
suits
chicks
you.
away.
I can't imagine you without your beard. It
Me
suits
either.
your face.
No, me either. I haven't seen my face without hair on it since 1974.
Me neither. I have that same problem.
That's another, the face hair is another thing that I think people associate with, different phases of life and different things. And my dad, I grew up not really seeing him with a lot of face hair because he was in the Navy and always kept pretty clean shaven. And then he became Santa last year. So my dad is literally Santa Claus now. And my kids love it because they're like, Grandpa is Santa.
Yeah.
And he's got the whole white beard, grown out and everything. And it's been interesting to see him like that. I'll have to send you over the picture of, we did a side by side of when I was a teenager with my dad and he was all clean shaven, and now sitting on my couch with my dad, AKA Santa, last November.
Yeah, I used to keep mine trimmed up all the time, but I came to grips with years ago the fact my mom raised 12 ugly children, so I don't bother with it. I had to, she didn't raise stupid kids, but she raised a whole bunch of ugly ones, man. So I just quit when I left the pulpit ministry and everything, and I quit caring, I mean, I don't care what the hell I look like. I'm happy. What the hell?
No, I can't say I don't care what I look like, because if I have to lose my hair, I've also had a lot of hairstyles. My hair was short on my head like this. I walked out of school. My dad never wanted me to color my hair or cut my hair. I wasn't allowed to do anything with my hair when I was in school. And when I left school, and then we had a fight, and I ran away. And in the week that I was gone, I let my friend's mom cut my hair. Being the rebel that I am, seeing if I can't piss my dad off a little bit more. so we make up, and I go back, and because I had long hair also down my back, and my hair was like bob, but it was so skew. And my mom had to take me to the hairdresser so they can cut it properly and everything. And then I wasn't allowed to cut my hair again. And when I left school, I cut it short on my head like this. And my hair was almost that short for about 13 years until I decided to grow it. This is the longest it's been since I left school. So I think I was just cutting my hair to prove a point that it's my hair and I can do with it whatever I want.
I have to put rubber bands in the beard now when I write, because if I don't, it's slapping me in the eyes and stuff. So when I take it out, I got this wavy, what the hell?
I see a lot of guys actually blow wave their beards.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've got a friend, he's got a beard. I mean, God, comes down here, it's a big bushy thing. He labeled himself ZZ Top thing. I said, "Nah, brother, all you need is a pointed hat and you'd be a garden gnome, man." He's my favorite garden gnome. All over the country, I visit people's houses. If they've got those little ceramic gnomes, I'll take a picture of them and say, "Hey, Jeff, I see your cousin Freddie, man."
Looks like a gnome. All family has runs. Oh my word. All family has runs makes the best of it. It doesn't have to define you unless you allow it. We only had two. Oh, speaking about a run, that's got absolutely nothing to do with this. But the one sheep that's here, her name is Maria. So it's Maria and Joseph that walks around here. They've been here for years and years and years. And nobody knew that Maria was pregnant and she had a little lamb last night. And his name is Chops because we don't know if it's a boy or a girl, so we called him Chop. It's a magic lamb because nobody knew she was pregnant. Nobody even knew her and Joseph was still doing it.
That's too good, man.
So I put some stories out. We took some pictures of him after he was eating. He was very tired, sleeping by his mommy. He was so cute. So I took a video of Chops.
So someday when we got a little time, I got a story about a horse and
we have time.
a little bitty horse with a great big horse. But we don't have time now because it's a loss.
You have a feeling you have all stories, Bob. Like that's what's hidden under all the beard and the hair is the stories.
My wife had a quarter horse, and she came around in heat, and on this this little bitty tiny little, like Shetland pony sized stallion showed up in our yard. It's a long story. It had a happy ending for the little stallion.
You gotta tell us now. We've got enough time.
You got enough time?
I don't know who's up for Wellness Wednesday. Is anybody in the mood to exercise?
Not me, baby.
That's cute. If you see me running, you better run too, because it means something's chasing me.
Chasing me.
You want to hear that story?
We want to hear the story.
Okay. So this was, I don't know how many years ago, but I had a pastor friend and his wife staying at my house. It was early in May, and I was out turkey hunting. Well, I came back from turkey hunting about 7:30 because I knew my pastor friend was going to be getting up, and I had to preach that morning. So I came in, I got these baggy old camouflage clothes and stuff on, and my dogs just all of a sudden start barking. And usually if there's deer or turkeys or something in the yard, I'll just open the door and they'll run, chase whatever it is away, and then come right back. So I let them out, and they went to the end of the porch, and they just stood there and just barking like hell. And I walk out, and I go, what the heck? Well, I look in the pasture, and my wife's horse is on her hind legs, and there's this little bitty pony there, and she's trashing at him, and he's biting at her. I mean, they're just fighting, and I got an electric fence thing out there. So I'm like, holy crap. So my pastor friend and my wife are standing on the porch. I'm running out there. I'm throwing rocks at this stupid little pony because I don't know what's going on yet. But I get out there, and it's like, holy cow. Well, the pony was trying to mount my wife's horse. She had turned and tried to kick the stallion. The fence came down. So I'm like, holy crap. And I'm trying to drive this little pony away, and he's charging at me and stuff. So I'm rocking. I mean, you son of a, I'm going to. So anyway, I take my belt off, and I get it around the horse's neck, my wife's mare. I'm holding my pants up, and with one hand, and I got her by the belt around the neck with the other one, and I'm trying to lead her to the pasture. Well, while I'm leading her, this damn little stallion comes back in, and he tries to mount her, and then she jumps up in the air. I lose my balance, falling backwards. My pants hit the ground. My pastor's wife and him are standing on the porch laughing. So my wife is coming out with the four-wheeler and a rope and a bucket of grain. So I told her, take the mare and just lead her in. I'm going to keep this damn stallion away. I told her, put her in the barbed wire type. Well, this stallion's such a pain in the ass. So I said, well, screw it. Just put them both in the barnyard, close the damn gate. I got to get a shower. I got to preach this morning. When I come home, I'll just borrow Rick's backhoe, and I'll bury that stallion because I know she's going to kill him. So to lock him in there, take off, go to church, I preach. I mean, as soon as I'm done, I fly back to the house. On the way home, I called my friend Rick, and I told him what was going on, and he was laughing like hell. And he said, yeah, brother, do what you got to do, you know. So I get back to the house, and I run out to the barn or out to the barnyard expecting to see this pony laying there dead somewhere, and I don't see him. I don't see him or her. So I walk out through the woods where my barn is, and I look in the barn where she'd normally be standing if she ain't there. So I walk around the woods. I don't see him. I thought, what the hell? I walk back around in front of the barn. I'm going around the other side of the barn, and I look, and I see the mare peeking around the corner of the barn. And I'm like, okay. So the pony's probably laying back there dead. So I walk around the back side of the barn. Here's this little bitty pony. His hooves are up on her hind quarters, and he's making love to the backside of her knee because he's too damn short. So I don't know how long this has been going on, but she's in heat and she's standing for him. So I like, shit. And I'm like, oh, what the hell? And then I thought, you know what? My wife has always wanted to have her own little foal. So I went in the barn and I grabbed a bunch of baler twines and I made a halter for the mare. And I led her out of there and I'm walking her around through the woods and this pony's following right along. Well, there was a couple of washout, little small creek beds in there. So I walked her down into one of them and I backed her up to the bank. And that little pony had the time of his life, man. But by that time, the little guy was shooting blanks because I don't know how. So we didn't get a little foal out of it, but the little pony.
But he got lucky.
He got real. I let him go like 3 or 4 times, man. I laughed so damn hard, man. Yeah.
Do you guys?
He must really write the book.
Why are you shaking your head, Jessica? Life on the farm, you know.
Do you guys want to see our bunny?
Yes.
Okay.
Come see bunny.
Oh my word! Look at that face.
Look at there.
That's Stuffles.
Hello, Stuffles. I like him. They call them guinea pigs. Right?
This is it's a lion head bunny. They're furry like that from the time that they're born till.
If you shave them, will it grow back?
I don't know. I don't want to do that though. It was a challenge though because we had to. She's free roam, so she lives in my office here, and so but you can train litter box train them and everything like you would a cat and everything. But the bedding that you usually use for bunnies is like a paper material, but her fur is so like static cling that like she would jump out of her litter box and be covered in paper. So I was like, what are we gonna do? So I finally found like bedding that's like pellets that won't stick to her fur. So that's what we use now. But it was a riot. The first 2 weeks we had her, I was trying to use up all this paper bedding, and she would walk and look like this, like just big paper like bunny walking around the house.
That is so funny. I don't know. I just want to see.
So Bob, are you back in Colorado now?
Yeah, we did benefit on Saturday, and then I did another one on Sunday, and I loaded up Natasha and left early Monday morning. I rode. It was a bad day. Winds were 25 and 30 mile an hour. Rain, so I rode, but I managed to stay dry. I got wet one time, but I dried out. I got to rest areas and stopped as I was waiting for rain to go by. I met some incredible people. I had a ball, man. And then yesterday I got up and it was 44 degrees, and I pulled out about, I think it was about 6 o'clock in the morning, 6:30 maybe, and I got here to my rocket scientist friend's place about 2 o'clock. I was going to go down south to my friends in Elizabeth, but they called me and said that the brother down there just got diagnosed with COVID and he's pretty sick. So I decided, I ain't afraid of that shit, but I ain't stupid enough to walk into it if I can avoid it. So
yeah,
I'm going to hang out here till he's better.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of the stuff that's going on with that right now. So my cardiologist is Dr. Joel Kahn. He's been on the show The Doctor several times and is really popular in the plant-based world. And he has been very outspoken lately. CVS refused to fill the prescriptions that he sent in for one of his patients.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if you're on Instagram, follow Dr. Joel Kahn, and see some of the stuff that he's been sharing about it. It's mind blowing.
Yeah. I mean, I ask everybody. I mean, if I ever got diagnosed with, I'm going to tell my doctor, hey, I want that hydroxychloroquine shit right now, man. I mean, but they're not prescribing it. They didn't give him anything. This is like the third friend of mine that's got this shit, and they just sent him home. I mean, they're not nothing. I mean,
that's pretty much what they had done for us until I called Dr. Khan. And he, it's interesting because, everybody touts lately about, the follow the science, but they're only talking about following the science that aligns with what their agenda is. And, and when I was called in, when Dr. Khan called in my prescriptions to our pharmacy over here, this was the first time this has ever happened. The lead pharmacist came out to the window and said, "What are you taking all this for?" And we've never seen it. We've never seen anything like this before. And that's why, I have been working so hard the last 3 months since I was sick to write up a whole blog or something of everything that we went through, because we witnessed some things that I never thought that I'd see in my life.
They sent a friend of mine this past spring home. He was an older guy with a lot of stuff going on, COPD, diabetes. He was obese. They diagnosed him on Tuesday afternoon with COVID, sent him home with nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday morning, they found him in his bed unresponsive, and he died on the way to the hospital. They did nothing. Sent him, test him. There's something wrong here, man.
They're not doing anything because they want the people to die. That's just how I feel. They do not care.
They've got to keep this thing alive, because the same reason they got to keep racism alive. They've got to put fear is a great motivator, and they're famous for that line. Never let a good crisis go to waste, because you can get away with things during a crisis you could never get away with in normal times. So here we are with this new legislation about, I forget what they're calling it. They can declare most anything a pandemic and put in pandemic. This is bullshit. It's got to stop, man.
Yeah.
This is the mountain I'm dying on. I am not complying with any of this crap. I am not. I'm over and done with it. To hell with it.
I'm trying to hide as far as possible in getting the vaccine until I really, really have to. Yeah. Especially if they tell, because I think I'm going to have to get it if that is in 6 months, if I want to fly to America. So I don't want to, but I'm not going to let it stop me from doing what I have to do. So
definitely look at, there's a lot of attorneys right now that are doing work for people who, there's a lot of information out there on how you can get past a lot of that stuff. So definitely look at that. And Jay Bird was talking about in the comments, immune system boost. If anybody is going through it right now, or it wants to be proactive, look up the IMASK protocol, IMASK protocol. Check that out. There's one for acute treatment, and then there's also one for people who are dealing with long COVID. So check that out. IMASK. You can just Google it and you'll find at least for now, find the information.
There's a lot of videos that is on TikTok about short videos where they talk a lot about the COVID and the different things that's going on and everything. I've seen on TikTok everybody is also talking about that Gabby potato that they found in the mountains. Yeah, that's I don't know, that's a very sensitive topic, I think, for a lot of people. I don't think a lot of people know that they are in abusive relationships.
I saw it pop up, but I have not followed the story. I don't know a lot about what's going on, but I know I saw something about recognizing ideas to recognize abuse in relationships and stuff like that. So I don't know, the story behind it, but I kept seeing it pop up in my news feed and my notifications yesterday. So I wasn't sure what all was going on with that.
Yeah, I think it's going to bring a huge light to abuse and everything. But it's just sad. It's sad that is why women do not leave their abusers. That is the reason why, because so many of them do not make it afterwards.
Yeah. There is a Dr. Adrienne McKeon who was on the Breakthrough Show this season and season prior. She has a book called Melting Ivory it was a memoir that she wrote when she went to Africa, actually, for university, and got into an abusive relationship there, and chronicles it in her whole, her whole memoir that she shares about. And there's a second book. I'm trying to pull up the title of it because I know I'm going to get it wrong. But you guys can find her at That's Allowed, and it's ALOUD, that'sallowed.com. And she has Melting Ivory. And then her second book is talking specifically about leaving relationships like that. But when she was on the Breakthrough Show, we talked a lot about, how you can't force somebody out of a relationship like that. And a lot of times when we come at someone with, you need to get out, if they're in that kind of space where they're not confident in themselves and they're being gaslit on many levels, they're actually going to push back. They're going to dig their heels in harder. And that was my experience as well, because when people in my first marriage, when people were like, you need to go, I was like, you can't tell me what to do. It was like the rebel kind of reaction. And I didn't really see a lot of what was going on. And so, it's interesting because I think a lot of times we feel like, I want to help. I just want to help. I want, whether we're talking about abuse or any other situation, we just want to help somebody. Right. But if it's not, we have to somehow release that expectation and that need to be the helper, because they have to accept the help. They have to want it. They have to make the choice. And we can't those of us that are helpers, we take it on too much. We sit here and go, why don't they want the help? Or why don't they want to say yes to whatever? But, people are they're going to be who they are. And we have to accept the fact that it may not be part of their journey to accept the help.
And not just that, I think they don't know better. It's the only relationships they know, because I don't think, well, you can't say that, but I think when you come from being raised in toxic relationships, then you are more likely to go into toxic relationships.
I counseled a lot. I did a lot of counseling of people in abusive relationships, male and female, for like 30 some years. And for a lot of women, I found that there's this thing inside of you guys. You're wired different than we are. And it's like this bad boy thing. And a lot of women think they can change this guy, I mean, they like something, they're drawn to him. They don't understand that it's like this spiritual thing, this mother's heart they have that wants to fix this thing. And they get into these cycles, and it's like, and they can't see the cycle, and they come for help or come for counseling. You look, this is like number 6, Let's do some self-evaluation here. I mean, it's really an identity crisis that they're in. They aren't comfortable in their own skin. They think they can be fulfilled through a relationship or whatever. Man, you got to learn to love yourself, and you got to understand your heart. Because you're not going to fix anybody that don't want to be fixed. You just ain't.
But I think also because they are told by the abusers that they won't amount to anything. They believe what is told to them, because that's all they hear. That's all they hear, so they believe it.
Feeds that identity crisis thing. I know a lot of people in a lot of groups, clubs, and whatnot. When you try to draw your identity from another group of people or a club or something like that, nobody's ever going to puts you higher, man. If you got a president of your club, he ain't gonna elevate you. He don't want to see you get above him, man. I mean, your identity, you got to settle that in your own self, man. I mean, it's cool to be a part of a club or something like that, but that can't be who you are, man, because you'll never know satisfaction. We got this thing, and everybody does, we want to be successful. It's just part of our DNA, but we don't know what success is. It's not the accumulation of shit or friends or whatever. The definition of success is fulfillment of original purpose. And until you know what your original purpose is, you are never going to be successful and feel fulfilled. But every human has the same original purpose. That's to be in a relationship with the guy that created you. Everything else flows out of that. When you get that settled, your life will be a lot easier, man.
The thing is, you can't have superficial relationships with people, because then you have a superficial relationship with yourself. And like Bob said, with your creator or with the universe, whatever you believe in, you can't have superficial relationships and just have superficial conversations if you are on that level where you just want to help people and people don't realize it starts with the relationship that you have with yourself.
Yeah, it does. You have to know who you are, man.
Yeah. I know there's been a lot of conversation that's come up in my community lately, and we've been talking specifically about relationships and what do we really want out of relationships as we get older, friendships and colleagues and romantic relationships, and like literally the resounding quality that people are looking for is communication. And I think with social media, we've gotten so used to the surface level of getting to know people. Right. Oh, I've made a friend on Facebook and now we're friends and everything's great, right? But we don't take the time to get to know people. And how many, confrontations can be avoided, how many arguments can be avoided if we really knew somebody. Because if you care about someone, you're not going to purposely want to do something that's going to upset them. So if you know what upsets them, then you're not going to do that. You're going to at least try to not do that thing. And I think communication is so important. And when we're going back to the topic of abuse, you may not always know, because I know when I was going through it, I didn't rush out and be like, Ilse, let me tell you what's going on in my house. That's not, but the people that really knew me, the people that really took the chance to get to know me and know who I am and know my mannerisms, even they could pick up on Jessica's different. Now, so, we don't know exactly what's going on, but something is different. And so this whole idea, I mean, it's just hilarious that this is coming up again, because it keeps coming up the last 3 weeks, for me at least. And communication is just so important in our relationships, and taking that time to get to know somebody truly so that we can avoid a lot of the BS, but you can also pick up on things when something's not right.
Yeah, I feel you when you say that it's been coming up a lot for you in the past 3 weeks. Me coming out of abusive relationships and having that history since I was a child, also with abuse and all that. It's also been coming up a lot for me that I still have to deal with it. I think I'm okay, and then something will just bring it up or remind me about it, or something like it will just come up and just fuck up, sorry about the word, but fuck up my whole day.
Yeah.
Because you think you've dealt with it, and then or you get into a situation and you start. That's why I struggle to talk to new people. I immediately have this thing. I immediately look for red flags. Immediately. I don't care if it's body language or just the way you look at me or how you hold your phone. I always draw back to the people that I have been in relationships with, and because they. The ones that abused me, I know the personality, I know the personality traits, and I know the red flags. So there's no talking stage. It doesn't get past that, because I just don't allow anything that remotely resembles a red flag. I shut you down immediately, due to the fear of going through all those things again and trusting somebody, because I was in a marriage for 11 years, and I only realized now, or the past 3 years, the amount of abuse I took, that I swept under the rug, because
Right.
I thought that it wasn't abuse. I thought that that's the norm. That is how you talk to people. And when I decided to leave there, I said, there's no way that anybody will ever make me feel uncomfortable in my skin again, because every time an abuser abuses you, you get that feeling, you know what's going on, but we sweep it under the rug, as Bob said, because we have that, we are wired like that. We think, okay, maybe they'll change, maybe they'll stop doing this, maybe that. You try and see the good in everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel my
Okay.
purpose, as Bob said, my purpose actually came to me a couple of months ago, and I actually sent a friend of mine that lives in the UK a message, and I said, that is my purpose. My purpose is to work with people that have abused drugs, and that were abused as children, that are abused in relationships, even if they don't get physically abused. I mean, that one friend of mine, the other day we were sitting, and she explained to me, we were talking, having a conversation, and her and her husband, she told him to leave, and when she tells you how everything transpired, and you actually explain to her, but this is what gaslighting is, and this is what this is, because she didn't even realize what was happening to her. She just knew that it wasn't where she wanted to be.
And these things can happen. Sorry, Bob. These things can happen in any kind of relationship, and I think that's a huge misconception as well. Is that we think, oh, we can only be in a narcissistic relationship with, like, you know,
The life
a
partner.
partner. We can only be gaslit by a partner. No, that it can happen with friends. It can happen with your
Parents.
mother. It can happen with colleagues. And you know, I think that we just, again, with communication, and also communicating with ourselves and saying, you know, continuing to know ourselves even better on a deeper level, and going, what's really going on here.
When I'm working with Brian now, trying to get Miss Carly, the chick there in Rockford, on, I'll tell you what, this woman's got a story that's going to blow your mind about abuse, self-abuse, abusive relationship. I mean, this woman, holy crap, what her story is and what she's come through and how she's turned that around and what she's doing today. I mean, something huge happened this last weekend. I can't say what it is yet, but I am chomping at the bit, man, because it is amazing what happened. As soon as she releases the news on it, I'm going to put it out there, because it is freaking huge what happened.
Oh,
But
wow.
she's got a testimony that is going to blow your mind. I think Brian, we're working at getting her scheduled on the H on a Wednesday of next week. But right now, I really don't know. The woman is like up to her eyeballs in this thing that happened. Got a lot of paperwork involved and some lawyers, so she's swamped for the next few days. But as soon as she's done, then we'll get things finalized. But you're going to be blown away by this chick. She's amazing.
Oh, I'm so excited. I can't wait. I can't wait.
You know how this guy comes in and he's just the bullshit. You know, he's trying to bullshit a bullshitter. He's like, oh, I'm trying to get a job, you know, and Carly shut him right down. So you don't need no damn job. I mean, she got right in this guy's face, because she'd been where he is, told him you need 90 days and 90 meetings. And when you're ready to do that, we'll talk. You know, I'll feed you until then, but, you know, I don't want to hear any crap. So the guy gave in and did the 90 days and 90 meetings. I met this guy. But while these people are in those 90 days thing, she's paying their rent. She's paying their phone bills. She's giving them money while they're in there. She's taking care of their family. She's doing everything for these people just so they can focus on getting straight. And then when they come out, then she puts them in these clean living house things, man, and gets them in the workplace. I mean, she's doing it all. She gets not a nickel from the government, because she doesn't want the government to have any say. You're going to be blown away by what this chick's doing, man. So, but I'll leave that up for her because she's coming up soon, man.
I can't wait. I can't wait to yeah, what I would love to if I come to America. Not if, I keep on saying if. When I come to America, she is definitely on the stopping list. I really want to meet everybody and the work that you guys have been doing and everything. You inspire a lot of people, and I don't even think you realize it.
I had Brett's girlfriend squealing. I put Maria on the back of Bullwinkle, and I cracked the throttle a little bit, and she went. I mean, she just squealed. We pulled out of the parking lot, and she squealed a little bit. We're going down the road toward my friend's house, and I did some of this stuff, and she backed her. It was great, man.
I put the book, by the way, Ilse, in the private chat. I found the link. It's called Enough: Breaking the Cycle of Emotional Abuse in Romantic Relationships.
I definitely want to read that. Can you get it on the internet, or do you have to buy a hard book?
I don't know if she has she might have the digital version. You'll have to look, but again, her website is That's Allowed as well, where you can she has all of her information on there.
I'm definitely gonna have a look. I'm gonna read our guest's bio. I see he's in the back. Hi, Brent. Is it Scarpo? Scarpo. Is it not? Okay. Let's not swear at anybody. I'm just gonna leave your surname out and then just say your first name. Okay, so we'll be interviewing Brett, former casting director for films The Shawshank Redemption, one of my favorites. I watched it the other day again. It's like Bad Boys. I just watch it over and over. It's such a stunning movie. The Shawshank Redemption, Air Force One, That Thing You Do, and Matilda. And now Intuitive Life Coach brings together life lessons he discovered in Hollywood to his life coaching business, co-creating miracles with his clients, specializing. Why does this thing not want to scroll down? Oh, my laptop. There we go. Specializing in high school, college, and millennials. He has worked in this arena for over 30 years. His program, Millennials Are Amazing, transform careers and relationships into a get busy living mindset. Using his 20 Shawshank Life Coaching Lessons, clients experience a freedom like Tim Robbins' character, Andy Dufresne. I'm so excited. Just because I saw Shawshank Redemption. So in my books, you're kind of a celebrity already. Thank you so much for helping me out, guys. And not leaving me all by myself to talk to myself.
Of course.
Anytime.
Will you stick around and help me with the interview as well, please? If you want.
I can stay and hang out.
I gotta go get some crap done, but I'll be here at the end if you want.
We'll see you later, Uncle Bob.
God bless. Have a great morning.
Bye. Let's quickly do this. Sorry, I'm still learning all the videos that I have to play when and where.
It's a juggling act. You can do it.
Hi, my name is Brandon. And over the past year, the Delight Cafe team and I traveled across the U.S. researching this rapidly growing industry of CBD products. What we have found throughout the industry were products that were inconsistent in dosage and used ingredients that weren't even lab tested. Products with chalky textures, bitter aftertaste, and worst of all, confusion among the CBD consumers. That's why we created Delight Cafe. A 15 milligram, lab-tested, all-natural, water-soluble hemp CBD powder pack. It's odorless, colorless, and tasteless. Add it to your favorite drink of choice, wherever, whenever, on the go. Quickly find your calm, your balance, and your delight when you need it most.
There we go. Hi, Brent. How you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Fine, thanks. Thank you so much for joining us. How do we pronounce your surname?
You did, and very few people get it correct, but you did it phonetically, so it's great. It's Scarpo.
Oh, okay.
No,
So
I
I
know.
wasn't clearing
It's so
it anymore.
it's so simple, and I get Scrappo and Scarto and Scarnino and Scarface, and I'm like, no, Scar.
I was just thinking Scarface.
I don't know
People
why.
can mess up the easiest
The
names
easiest
though. My
names.
brother is Gregory, and he went to a Starbucks one time, and they actually wrote garage on his
wow.
cup.
Well, Jesse, I love your name.
First off, I just want to say I am such a big fan of Shawshank Redemption. If you have not picked that up
Thank you.
So the casting was amazing because that movie is amazing from the first scene up until the last scene. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it was an amazing, it was a life-changing experience for me in more ways than you can possibly imagine, which I'm sure we'll have time to speak about.
You are more than welcome to tell us now.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. So you're so funny. So yeah, I'm from Pennsylvania originally. I was born in California. I'm from Warren, Pennsylvania, but I moved to California, studied acting and theater, and just that's been my passion. And I'm very big from a life coaching perspective of really following one's passion. What is it that you so desire? Not what you fear. What is it you so desire? And then to overcome the fears that you have in an effort to be able to just gravitate towards whatever that passion is, no matter what the obstacles. And so I moved from Pennsylvania to California, did acting, was on cruise ships, commercials, small parts in film and television. And then, it's interesting how I put the two together. And I've been life coaching since 2010, and I've used a lot of lessons from Shawshank and the different movies in the entertainment industry, but now I'm really putting it together. I think I tend to forget that I worked on one of the top 10 films that the American Film Institute says you have to see before you die. Like, I just forget that, right? And then I turn on the TV, I'm like, oh, there it is again. And I know exactly where I'm at in all these scenes. And so pushing it together, and however spiritual you want to be, I'll use the word God, but if you want to use Buddha or Allah or Mother Nature, that's fine by me. Yeah. And I was, at the time, I don't know if you're familiar with this name. I was working for a gentleman by the name of James von Prague. He's one of the #1 evidential mediums in amazing. And I was working out of his house, and, he was living in this small, tiny little Hollywood flat in the East Hollywood. And I just happened to have met him through some friends, and he said, well, I'm really getting busy. I need an assistant. And I said, well, yeah, I need a job. And I was acting, but, I needed, to pay rent. And so I was James von Prague's first personal assistant for the first 2 years of his life.
Wow.
I know. Jessica's like, oh, that's not in my bio. There's a lot of things that you don't have time for with the bio. And it was so interesting because that was long before Google. Now I haven't talked to him in a while, but I kind of researched him because now he's got an academy and everything's online, and but it was just an amazing experience. I'm a skeptic. Trust me, I'm a skeptic. I'm a Capricorn with on the cusp of Aquarius. Oh, Lord. Although I'm January 20th, I'm on the cusp of Capricorn and Aquarius, so I'm just a mess in a dress. I
am literally all like half of my chart is in Aquarius.
Oh, right. It's like, so Capricorns are home and hearth. They want everything very, very, very structured. Right. Aquarius are like
not gypsies. Aquarius.
No. And I'm like, I'm a mess. 1 minute I'm like, go ahead.
I just come to burn shit down. I'm a Sagittarius. So right. I just stay shit alive to see what happens.
Right. Whatever. Let's just go. So it was really interesting working. I loved it. He was on the cusp of actually writing his. In fact, I inputted the most of the notes of his first book, Talking to Heaven. And again, I'm a little skeptical. So if there was ever an inkling that this was all fake, I would have left in a minute. But it was extraordinary, and I had 6 readings done by him. It's sort of part of my pay. I get paid, per hour, and then I get a reading. And I remember this one reading that he did for me, and all of a sudden he looked at me and he said, "I have to get a new assistant." I said, "Why?" He said, "You're leaving." I said, "No, I'm not." He said, yeah, you are. I said, no, I'm not. I said, don't. I got rent next month. I got rent next month. Don't be. He said, no. You're going to be leaving, not tomorrow, but sometime soon. I said, for where? He said, east of the Mississippi. Now, I'm in California. I said, okay, great. And what am I doing? He said, you're going to be doing everything that you were meant to do in the entertainment industry, but just different. And I was like, what the heck, So we went on with the reading. Probably about, I'm going to say 3 months later, I get a call from a friend of mine. She was a casting director as well, because I was one of many that worked on it. I'll share with you exactly what I did. And she said, what are you doing? And she helped me get auditions and such. I said, nothing. She said, look, I have these 2 films and my assistant just quit. I think you'd make a great assistant. I'm like, no. Sorry, just if there's whatever the movie, whatever, just call me and I'll audition. And that was it. A week later, she calls me, please, is there any way that you could, be my assistant? I think you'd be really good at it, blah, 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 blah. I said, well, what are you up for? Well, there's 2 films, one called Ed Wood with Johnny Depp, and then another one called Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption. I said, that's the stupidest title I've ever heard in my entire life. So what the hell is that? She said, well, it's some kind of Stephen King film. It's based on a novella called Different Seasons. And I said, I'm not interested. I said, but if you get them, I really need an audition. I could use the extra work. Fine. 2 weeks later, she calls crying. Now, when women cry, I'm just going to let you know, both of you, Elsa and Jessica, if you cry, you can pretty much get whatever you want from me.
Good to know.
Whatever.
Note-taking.
Write it down. Tell your listeners. Cry in front of Brent, and I can get everything he owns. And I said, "What's going on?" She said, I need money, and they won't. I got a movie, and they won't let me sign the contract until if I get an assistant. I'm like, oh. I said, tell me what this is about. Well, she said, I think I'm taking the Shawshank Redemption movie because it films in Ohio, and there's a abandoned prison. It's a prison film. It's a really good film, but I have to sign the contract today, and I just beg you, is there any way? And I said, well, how much would I get for this? Like, we had never discussed it. And she told me. I said, you should have started the conversation with that. What the hell? Are you kidding? What? I was making like 100 times more than what James was paying me. I said, we should have done that 3 conversations ago. And I said, okay, I will do this, but only if I can get some kind of audition. She's like, I'll do what I can. So she was in charge of hiring all the background people, the guards and the prisoners, and all the day players, because we didn't have the budget to fly in the people that had 1 or 2 days of work, because we only got $25 million for this. Frank Darabont was the producer and director. Lovely, 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 lovely man. He had never directed before, though. And Castle Rock loved this film. They loved the script. And rumor on the set was is that he went to Castle Rock, pitched the idea. And here's a great story, because I've actually seen this. He contacted Stephen King and said, look, I love this, this short story. I love to, get the rights to it. And so for some odd reason, Stephen King gave him the rights and only charged him $1. And he has the $1 in a frame in his office, right? Like, Stephen King needs more money. And so he has the rights. He goes, and they don't want him to direct. They're like, no. And he said, and this is unprecedented. But this, again, remember I talked about, the life coaching lessons that you learn. One of them is just being relentless and being tenacious. Being relentless and tenacious. And Frank said, no, I want to direct. He had never directed a movie before. You don't ask for that kind of stuff. And he left. They loved the film so much they called him in for another meeting. And they literally said, look, we'll give you all this money if you let us direct. He's like, no. Like a month later, they call him again. And he's like, look, we'll give you all this money, plus all this money, plus all this money if you let us direct. And he said no. And I guess it was shortly after that, they contacted him and they're like, okay, damn it, you can direct, but you're only getting $25 million. And so the journey of Shawshank Redemption started. And so when my supervisor called me, my friend, I said, okay, when do we start? And she said, well, we have to fly in 2 weeks. I'm like, 2 weeks? And I forgot, I got James. I said, okay, I'm going to do it, but I got to take care of some things. I literally got on the phone. I'll never forget this. I called James, says, hey, James. He said, I already replaced you.
The perks of working for an intuitive.
Oh my God. I said, what?
So
He said,
you
he goes,
went.
east of the Mississippi, the entertainment industry. I'm like, Ohio. Oh my God, Ohio's east of the Mississippi. Oh my God, you're right. Right. And it was just like, as many times as I saw him do reading after reading, I mean, evidential mediumship in front of me, when it happens to you. So I ended up going to Ohio, and I had done acting for the most part. So I really have never done, I understood the casting process, but I was an assistant to her. Deborah Aquila was the main casting director. She came out, she let us know, what the feel of the movie should be throughout the entire process. So I had the pleasure of being on the set every day for the 4 months in 1994 in Mansfield, Ohio.
Amazing.
Yeah, exactly. But seriously, again, one of the lessons is just be relentless and tenacious, with all that is that you do. If you look at the film, Tim Robbins played the part of Andy Dufresne. It took him 20 years to escape Shawshank Redemption. Talk about being tenacious with a tiny rock hammer.
Right.
Right.
Let me.
He did them dirty when he went. In any case, he just completely destroyed them and destroyed their lives because they destroyed his in such a classy way.
Right.
I love that. Such a classy way.
Yeah, actually. Yeah. Well, it wasn't, and I would say to you that I don't know if destroy is the right word. I think he used their own strengths against them. Right. He used their own strengths against them. And so, and I think that's where the class really comes into play. One of the second lessons I talk about in terms of, Shawshank Redemption Life Coaching Lessons is the greatest strength you have is inside of you. Mm-hmm. It always is. Right. The greatest strength you have is inside of you. So no matter what your situation, no matter what your environment, no matter how bad it is. And I have life coaching clients. I do life coaching. I love it. I know we're going to give a gift out to your listeners, but I always say to them, look, your environment does not create your reality. You create your reality. So find within yourself those strengths that you were born with and use those strengths to reform, to reframe the reality that you're currently in. And that's what Andy Dufresne did. He's like, yes, I'm in prison, but I am not of it, as Maya Angelou would say, right? And so I will do what I can do with what it is that I have in the current moment in time to transform my life. And the next thing you know, he's digging through a sewer. That was a day. That was actually, I'll tell you, that was the second, I believe that was the second shooting day, crawling through because in movies, as you don't know, you rarely shoot them in order. Ever. Okay. Yeah, you never shoot them in order. You'll do the end first, the middle second, and then you'll do the back of the script, and then you do the beginning at the very end of the film and all that. But the first day of principal photography was when Andy Dufresne is busted. He comes into Shawshank, and all my guys, because those are my guys. My job was to hire 3,000 men to play prisoners and guards. And it was that day. I'll never forget. It was so exhilarating because I started at 3:00 in the morning, and we got them all dressed in 1946 prison garb from Maine, and we didn't get the first shot off till about 1:00 in the afternoon. So you see that helicopter going on Shawshank, and you hear, Red's voice, Morgan Freeman, and you just go, whoa, So he is amazing as well.
Did you ever have like, as you were making your way into this new line of work, did you ever have a moment where you were like, who am I to be doing this, to be going after with not having experience before? And the reason I asked this is because I interviewed Dee Wallace last year, and when she was talking about first getting started in the film industry, and she would go to these parties and she would just walk up to producers and be like, hi, I'm Dee, I'd love to be in your movie. And she said people afterwards would be like, Dee, you can't just do that. There's like a process that you have to go through. And so, but she shared with me about how this naivete that she had of you can't do things that way is really what propelled her into the career that she's had, because she never knew that, like, I'm not supposed to do that. She just went ahead and did it without the experience, without the knowledge, and just did it because it's what she felt like she should do. Did you ever have that moment where you felt like, I don't know if I should be doing this, or did you kind of just go feet first and say, I'm here and I'm doing it?
So one of my favorite mantras, for lack of a better word, that probably has sustained me my entire life is fake it till you make it, baby.
Mm.
Just fake it till you make it. You know, and if not me, who? Right? If not me, who? I remember when I was I went to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts after I graduated at Mercyhurst University in Pennsylvania. And the Academy was my passion. I told my mother, I'm going to acting school. And I remember going there. And I remember sitting in the audience of my freshman class. The president came up, there's probably 300 of us. And he goes, look to your left, look to your right, look in front of you, look behind you. Only 1% of you are going to make it. Mm. And that was like the first day of class, and I just dropped $5,000 on this school, right? And he said, "So what's the answer?" You know, and we're all kind of looking at each other, and he said, "Don't be the other 99%." Right? Focus your vision on what it is that you want, and the percentages and all that doesn't matter, right? To Dee Wallace's point, I love it. Absolutely. Right. There was a great Mark Victor Hansen and Jack Canfield, who wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul, were my mentors for 4 years, great friends. And I'm in the process of, writing this book that has taken me 10 years, because I won this great contest in the Today Show in 2010 called Everybody Has a Story. And I remember one of their stories where Mark did. He went into Minneapolis and he was speaking to insurance salesmen, right? And so he talked to him ahead of time, and he was trying to figure out how they could sell more insurance, basically. So when they did this sort of statistical study, they noticed that the people that sold the most insurance, right, of all the people in the company, had moved recently. So, for example, Jessica sells insurance, right? And she lives in Minneapolis. For some reason, she gets a transfer to Tampa, right? Her sales and everybody in the insurance company skyrocketed. Why? They didn't know the rules. See, in Minneapolis, where his territory had been there for 10 years, and his no, don't go to Anderson's pet shop. They won't buy insurance. They never do, right? Don't do that. He goes to Tampa. There are no rules. I don't know who you are. I don't know what. So I'm just going to ask everybody. So that's that concept about fear, right? My favorite life lesson from Shawshank. And I'm telling you, I didn't even get it until about 4 or 5 years later, because there's this great poster that we all got, and then we got a second poster of the 10-year anniversary, and then we, the 20th anniversary. So when I got the second poster, I put it up in my office next to the other one, and for the first time, I saw the caption of the first poster. I'm curious, do any of you know what it is? Mm-mm. Okay, it's phenomenal. It is, and it's so relevant right now. And I believe this is the reason why people watch Shawshank Redemption over and over and over again. So, lesson number 2, the caption: fear can hold you prisoner, hope can set you free.
Oh, wow.
That is the caption of Shawshank Redemption's poster. Fear can hold you prisoner, hope can set you free. So, to your point, Jessica, I try not to. I don't live in fear. I will face her or him. I will go through and I will learn the lessons. One of the life coaching lessons I give, or exercises I give my clients, because I have a 4-month program, it transforms people. I have a 100% success rate. But one of the lessons, assignments they get once a week, they have to do, and then they have to talk about it. I said, you have to do something in fear. You have to do something fearful. And then, they'll do the lesson and they'll say, oh, I touched a snake. Okay, that's a good start. Let's continue. Let's continue. Right. That's good.
Do you find that most people go for things like something that we automatically associate with fear, like, oh, like I pet a spider, or I touched a snake, or,
Right. Or I had one client, she had never flown before and she had to fly. So she kind of used that as it. So the concept is to just get into the place of being able to be comfortable with fear, because they're going to show up all the time. You don't want to live in it. You want to get through it. And then you want to experience the lessons from it. Right. And so then, because my program is 21 sessions long, 4 months, by the time we're getting to 18 and 19, they're experiencing some of the deepest fears of their lives, which may not have anything to do with things, which most of the time has nothing to do with outside of them, but what's inside here.
Mental blockages.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dee didn't have that. She just showed up. I don't know the rules. I want to be a Hollywood actress. Thank you very much. So I'd like to be in your next film. I do that stuff all the time. I just show. They look at me. I remember when I first went to Hollywood, I was working for Ridley Scott's production company for 2 years. I was an assistant to the CFO, who was just a horrible human being, as I remember. And but I was just, energy and positive and all that stuff. And I was at the front desk talking to the girl who's the receptionist, and one of this producer comes in, he checks in, and the whole Hollywood thing. And she and I are laughing and talking and da-da-da. And he looks at me and goes, Xanax? And I said, no, life.
I usually go happiness and weed.
I know, it's so funny. I was 26 at the time. I didn't know what the hell Xanax was. And I'm like, no, just life. It's all good. It's all good. But yeah, I think just that whole, if you don't face your fears, you keep yourself in prison. Right. And, I think we're seeing many, many examples of that with COVID and so on and so forth. People are just not facing the realities of their fear. And unfortunately, we're losing a lot of people because they decided to dwell in fear. Yes, absolutely.
Why do you think we need a life coach, and why do you like working with millennials?
Oh, millennials are just lovely. I love my millennials.
I hear an air.
How do you fall under millennial? What categorizes you to be a millennial?
Yeah, so right now, just depending on what year it is. I mean, I think right now it's anyone between the ages like 25 and 40 is where it's at. But for me,
I'm a millennial.
yeah. I was Googling it a couple of days ago. So I do some corporate work as well. I have many different paths, and so I was doing some corporate work. And we learned a great deal of millennials. And when we were doing in-house training, I met a lot, millennials and Gen X's, and I'm a baby boomer, and they are the most lovely and the most misunderstood. That's why I love them so much. I love, like Dee Wallace, I love people who think outside the box, right? I had this sign. I'm at my grandmother's right now. So I'm in Indiana. So it's my place in Palm Springs, but I have a sign that says think outside the box, right? And I do this exercise where I go to the audience and it's like, could you please put that up on the wall? So they put it on the wall. I said, no, that's not right. And they're like, okay. So then throughout the whole day, I'll hand it, and they put it up, think outside the box. I said, let me share with you how I put it up. And I turn it upside down. Think outside the box. So they're reading it upside down to constantly think outside the box. And so, I started life coaching in 2010. Again, my mother, coincidences are God's way of wanting to remain anonymous. I was speaking. I did the #1 documentary on bullying and hate called Journey to a Hate-Free Millennium. I told the stories of Matthew Shepard, James Burge Jr., and the students that were killed at Columbine High School. For 10 years, I traveled the entire world. I've spoken to every U.S. state dozens of times, 17 foreign countries. My goal from 1999 to 2010 was to transform the world from a hateful, hurtful world to a loving, accepting world. And it was an overwhelming experience for me with this documentary, and it's the first time I had really pulled education and entertainment in together. And so I met just tons and tons and tons and tons of time. I mean, 1.6 million I spoke to who are now millennials. And so in 2010, the gentleman that's my guest on the Today Show when I won the contest, Everybody Has a Story. He was from my alma mater. I went to speak. I spoke at the communications class, and he called me and he's like, I really would love, to learn how to be an actor. My parents don't necessarily think it's a real job. And I said, well, I'm more than willing to talk to your parents. And well, the next thing I know, his father, who was a therapist, said, would you coach my son? Now, to Jessica's point, this is a great segue and the Dee Wallace story. I've never life coached, ever. I'm not a therapist, right? I have tons of life experience. I've been working on myself. I've met Mother Teresa. I've met Desmond Tutu. I mean, right? And I said, sure, not a problem. I said, I've been doing it for at least a year. And he said, great, send me a contract. And I got off the phone. I'm like, holy crap, what am I going to do? Right? And so I was like, taking that moment and seizing it and like I face the fear. I've never been a life coach, but I can help this kid. I know a little bit about life coaching, so I'll research it and I'll become the best life coach ever. And so that's how I became a life coach. And I put together this program that's just evolutionized it, but I had never done it before. Who cares, right? Just go for it and see what comes out of it. So millennials are just my gig. I love them. I work my niche is probably 17 to 45-year-olds. They're completely misunderstood. And the challenges happening right now is that, over 60% of the workforce is made up of millennials. But because of what happened in 2008, we have a lot of us baby boomers that still have to work. And what we're doing is we're clashing. We're just clashing, right? I'll give you the number one secret on how to work with my loving, phenomenal millennials. And a lot of us don't know this. So I'll ask you this question. Why do millennials go to work? Why do they go to work? What's the purpose of work? Why do they get a paycheck? What motivates them?
That's what they were taught. They think that's the right way to do it and to just survive.
Okay, so that's a great answer. Jessica, what do you think? Why do in a millennial's mind, why do they want a paycheck? Why do they go to work each day?
I would think that a millennial would want to make a difference, but that doesn't always associate.
You win a brand new car. You win a brand new car. Yes. You get a car and you get a car. And if you're listening,
I need a car.
Jess is going to give you a car.
No.
No. Okay, take that back. But you can manifest a car. Not a problem at all. You contact me. I'll help you with that. That's exactly right. Millennials and everything they do. If you get this, my baby boomers on the phone, right? If you are a supervisor of a millennial and you don't want, because most of the time when you speak to a millennial, and I'm a baby boomer, right? And baby boomers, Elsa, that's more like a baby boomer, what you said, right? They say to me, Brent, we need you to work 14 hours a day and do it for free. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We just did it. Whatever they told us, we did, because that's what you're an adult, you're a policeman, you're a fireman. Okay, fine. And so baby boomers do something different, and they do it in the workplace all the time, and millennials, and it drives baby boomers crazy. So Jessica is the millennial, and I'll say, Jessica, I need you to get this Excel report to me by Friday. Why? Well, because we're going to meet with the salespeople on Monday. Why? Well, because we have to get those numbers in so we can see where our sales projections are. Why? And we go, because I just want you to do it, right? It's like, that's not what you have to do, is tie it into how it's going to transform the company.
Right.
And so here's the answer. Jessica, I need you the Excel spreadsheet of our sales by Friday. Why? Well, because Friday we'll have those numbers. We have the meeting on Monday. When we have the meeting on Monday, we'll know exactly what our profit is, and then we can use that for our non-charitable foundation. Oh, okay. Right? Yeah. You have to tie everything into something that's going to make a difference. And it doesn't have to be world peace. Right? But the whole idea of just doing it. No, this is why at this point in time, when we look at the last 5, 6, 7 years, and you see the number, whether it's Black Lives Matter, whether it's politics, no matter, one of the beauties, and you can go onto YouTube and see this. Look at any of the marches. Look at any of the people showing up to protest, right? The vast majority of them are millennials. And what I love, it is all makes and model, gay, lesbian, transgender, bisexual, people of color, age, so on. When I was protesting, it was either all white people or all black people or all, right? You just kind of found your niche and did your thing. This is a beautiful time because they care. And that's why
they care about each other and not about what you look like on the outside.
Right.
That's why you see more cross-gender relationships. People aren't that worried about that anymore. They just being themselves and being authentic and not worrying.
Transparent, authenticity, all that. Yeah, they don't care because they've seen what we've done. And they're like, yeah, so you didn't do so well. So we're going to fake it to make it to a different tune. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Sounds familiar.
I know your program is based off of things that you can learn from Shawshank. And have you always been a person that easily takes lessons from things like fictional stories? And have you done that always your whole life? Because I've in the personal development space and spiritual development space, you often hear like, we don't have time to watch movies or, watch series or anything like that. And it's like, if you're doing that, you're wasting your time and all of this. And I've always been like, listen, I watched, Married at First Sight the other night, and it was a train wreck, but I took something home from that,
Right.
And so do you find that can be a challenge as well? That's my second part of my question in the personal development world, because a lot of people are so quick to poo-poo any sort of entertainment like that as a place to learn something.
Yeah, I think, look, there are many paths. And when you really boil it down, it's all about the process of the story, right? Like I said, in 2010, I was lucky enough to win a contest called Everybody Has a Story. If you go onto YouTube and put the Today Show Brent Scarpo, you'll see it. It will transform your life. It's why I'm doing this book. And what I loved about it is that Kathleen Gifford decided to use her platform to tell stories, right? So she, again, bucked the system. And I just happened to see it while I was waiting for a plane in Atlanta, Georgia. I submitted a story, the worst spelled story in the world. I'm an English major. They got 100,000 stories. They picked 8 winners, and I was winner number 8. Never saw it coming, right? The stories about the death of my mom. I lost my mom to cancer in 1997, and how we proved there was a heaven. And we proved that there was a heaven. I tell you, there is life after death. And this was all around the time that I was working with James Van Bogg. So the synchronicity is phenomenal. And so she took a platform, right? And there were 8 winners. I watched the first 7. I bawled my eyes out. And they took the story and then turned it into a song. After that, right, I discovered that when you have a website that has your phone number on it and you're on the Today Show, people call you.
Really?
People, oh my God. It was like, I've dealt with celebrities and so on and so forth. I've never been a celebrity, but I've been right. And I remember for about a month afterwards, 1 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, 6 a.m., ring, hello? Is this Brent Scarpo? Yes, it is. Is this Brent Scarpo from the Today Show that did the red balloon? Yes, it is. It's Brent Scarpo. He's on the phone. I got him on the, shut up. I got him on the phone. Hello? Hi, my name is Sarah. I'm calling from Nebraska. Listen, thank you so much for your story. I lost my husband about a month ago. I watched your story. I've watched it over and over again. It's brought such peace to my heart. And she would go on and on and on and on and on and on and on, right? And I got all kinds of calls. And then every third call, it was, thank you so much for the story. Oh, I'm on Amazon.com. What's your book? I don't have a book. Thank you very much for calling. I really appreciate it. I don't have a book. Thank you very much for calling. I appreciate it. I don't have, oh my God, I got to write a book. Right? Because the universe tells you what you want to do, right? The universe tells you what it wants you to do. We just have to have the ability to listen. So I spent 10 years working on this book. It's coming out. We'll come back on the show. We'll do something fun. And so I think we're desperate to tell people stories. I think we are. I think there's ways of being able to do it. So for example, with our millennials, they're brought up in a society where everything is in 6-second, 10-second, 20-second, 30-second sound bites, right? So, I can find those moments in Shawshank and actually show that to them, and then we can get the lesson. But then with that said, I will tell you, I also think that we are desperate to slow down and to actually watch a movie or read a book. We're so pushed, especially our millennials, to go, do, prove, so on and so forth. We don't get this moment to sit down, just to breathe a little bit. And so I think that, when I was on the road and I was speaking, right, I look, I can talk. And when I was doing colleges and universities, a lot of them will didn't want to come. I do a lot of fraternities and sororities, and I always get this because I'd be slotted for an hour. I go hour and a half, 2 hours, and they would always come up and say, I didn't know. I like we had to come to this as part of our fraternity chapter, assignment. Blah 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 blah. I didn't think I was going to have this much fun. I can't believe I sat here for 2 hours. I can't believe I laughed so much, and I don't think it has anything to do with me per se. I mean, we co-created an experience because that's what I believe. That for me, it's finding another client, right, and co-creating miracles with that client, because we know when 2 or more people come in spirit, you can create any miracles that you want, and that's what I do. I co-create miracles with clients. I mean, I have tons of them that have happened. So to your point, Jessica, I think we're desperate for that. I think it is there. When I say, just like you did and Elsa did, when I say Shawshank Redemption, there's not a person in the room that hasn't seen it. Oh, I've seen it 40 times. Well, if you've seen it 40 times, then you must like watching movies.
Exactly, because that's a long movie to sit through. I think it's just over the 2 hours.
Yeah, and we cut a lot out. We cut a lot out. Oh, we ran out of money. And we did. We ran out of, you know what I'm talking about. It was mostly men, and we were in Mansfield, Ohio, and it was phenomenal because there was like an 11% unemployment rate, and there was an abandoned prison. It was down to 2 locations, one in North Carolina and one in Mansfield, Ohio. Now, North Carolina, that prison, you'll remember, and I didn't get an opportunity to work on that film because they didn't have a lot of background. But the next film after that, where they used that prison, was Frank's movie called The Green Mile. So that film was done in North Carolina at that prison. We did this. So, we had literally thousands of background people that desperately needed work. And it's just really great stories. I mean, we had these open calls. They would show up. We'd sign them up. And I got a lot of women. There weren't a lot of women's parts. But there was this baseball scene where the guards play against the prisoners, and all the wives come with their kids on both sides, the prisoners' wives and the guards' wives. And it's a really lovely scene where you see there's a fine line between the guards and the prisoners. They have families, all that kind of stuff. And I spent 3 days casting this thing, and they cut it. I got a call the day before saying, we're cutting tomorrow's scene. The whole day gone. And I had to call hundreds of women. And I was just devastated because that was really. I can imagine. Yeah,
I can just imagine.
It's tough, and people don't understand that process. Well, I'll let you in. Maybe the answer to this. It's my favorite question about Shawshank. Some people know Tim Robbins is not supposed to be in that film.
Not.
Oh no, he was choice.
Really?
So here to your listeners, here's the big aha. So we get the $25 million with this. $25 million, and you need an A-list actor to play the part of Andy Dufresne, or it's a no-go. So Deborah Aquila, it was her job to cast, the main parts. We met with her, and we literally have our guy. Yay, we have our $25 million. Morgan Freeman was cast first, and then the second person who, is Andy Dufresne. 2 weeks before Pencil Photography, he quit. I remember getting the call from my supervisor, my friend. She's like, I don't know he just quit. I got to get a hold of Deborah. We don't know what's going on. So here's the question to your listeners. Who was supposed to play the part of Andy Dufresne in 1994 and quit 2 weeks before Principal Photography because he wanted certain changes in the script, and Frank Darabont said no. So put on your casting hats. 1994.
While they look for the answer, you said there's something free for our listeners.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Yeah. So I am an evidential or an intuitive life coach working with, I've worked with James von Prague. And so, what's important to me is to really give as much to mankind as possible. And so, my website. So I do intuitive readings, complimentary intuitive readings. And if you text, let's say we'll text the name of the show to my phone number, which is 760-835-3327. Just text Java Delight, right, to that, and I will contact you, and I will do a complimentary strategic intuitive reading for you. It's 45 minutes to an hour. It will blow your mind. We'll set up the time. All I need is a birth date, and I'm about 86% right. And what it is, it's just an intuitive reading, 45 minutes to an hour. We'll set up a time. I just need your birthday. And what I share with you, as I do with all my clients, is the good, the bad, the ugly, and the beautiful. Because we all have that. We all have that.
What's the number again?
Yeah, 760.
Yes.
835.
Yes.
3327. And if you text anytime, a year from now, as long as I'm alive, I'm good. Just text, you never know. I might be up there and I'll text you back. If I do, Jessica, then everything that James Van Prague talked about is true, right? But wait, Brent passed away a month ago. I got a text. It's right here. I'm telling you, I got a text. But yeah, just text 760-835-3327. Just text Java Delight so that I know that it's one of the wonderful listeners that, which I've just so enjoyed this process. And yeah, we'll do a complimentary strategic intuitive consultation. And I call it that because by the time we're done, right, you will have so many tools and so many things to work on just in that hour, whether you choose to work with me or not. But it goes back to Shawshank, right? 9, practice random acts of kindness. Practice random acts of kindness, right? Annie Dufresne, one of my favorite scenes. Annie Dufresne is on top of the roof. Remember when they're tarring it? They're tarring the roof. Yes. I was there. I decided to go. It was hot as hell. And they're tarring the roof, and I love Clancy Brown, who plays Hadley, and so they're tarring the roof, and Tim Robbins does the bold, tenacious. Okay, remember tenacious? So he becomes tenacious, and he overhears Hadley saying he got $35,000 in an inheritance, but he's got to pay taxes, and so Annie Dufresne leaves, mopping tarring the roof, and says, do you think your wife will screw you over? And Clancy's like, okay, this guy's gonna have an accident, and then as he was like, it really was. I was like, oh my God, had him over that roof. He said, you don't have to pay the taxes if you trust your wife. I can set up the papers for you, right?
Saw the gap and took it.
Right, but all I ask are 3 beers apiece for my coworkers. A random act of kindness, right? And I just saw it yesterday. I was in tears. I saw the whole scene, and at the very end, Andy Dufresne, Tim Robbins' character, is sitting off to the side, and he's not drinking any beer. And one of the guys comes up to him and says, would you like beer? He said, no, I stopped drinking. And all he's doing is basking in the sun of what it means to perform a random act of kindness. And that good comes back to him because he's able to escape to freedom. So who played the part of Andy Dufresne and quit 2 weeks before Principal Photography?
Tom Hanks.
Jaybird guessed Tom Hanks.
Jaybird said Tom Hanks.
I get a lot of Tom Hanks because during that year was also what that's a great guess, actually, because
it is. I didn't even.
Yeah, that's a great guess because that year, which when it came to the Oscars, we lost to, Tom Hanks did Forrest Gump.
Oh.
So we were up against Forrest Gump during the Oscars. It was Tom Cruise.
I'm actually glad he quit.
Yes! Oh my God! Right? Yes! I tell people that I'm like, it would never have been. We wouldn't be talking about it right now. We wouldn't be doing it, right? And it just shows you. And again, another life lesson from Shawshank: the creative process, right? This is that whole idea that you show up with a plan and God laughs, right? God said, Tom Cruise. No.
Not in my movie.
Not in my movie. That's exactly right, Jessica. And it's like, I know, and Tom is great, and he does his thing, and so on and so forth. But the next person was Tim Robbins, and it just was perfect. It just worked absolutely.
But I like all of his movies, even the ones that he plays with Martin Lawrence. He's extremely funny as well. Yeah,
Tim. He's got a great. He has a great. He plays every man. That's why he's every guy. I mean, if you would have seen Tom Cruise play Andy Dufresne, you would have seen Tom Cruise play Andy Dufresne, right? Right. Versus walking out of the movie. Because I always say there's my acting teacher, I remember he said, what makes a good actor and actress, and name your favorite actors and actresses. And so we did at the time, and this is like 1986. He said, really, when you walk out of a movie theater, when people say, oh my God, Tom Cruise, he did so good as da-da-da in Mission Impossible, or do you say, oh my God, Andy Dufresne, that when you talk about the character, that's when you know the actor succeeded. That's it. And that wouldn't have happened if it was Tom Cruise. Tim Robbins does. He represents each of us. That's why we watch it over and over and over again, because we can find within ourselves our pain, our struggle, the unfairness of our life, how to overcome it, how to have hope, how to have faith, right? To how to find the value of who we are in each of us, how to practice random acts of kindness. That in life, you must take risks, right? Because if you're not, I always say, if you're not in action, you're in traction. And if you're in traction, you're probably going to die. Right? It's just, you have to stay in action. Another great lesson, good friends and relationships support you both during the good times and the bad times. That relationship with Red, right? And in the very end, he gets out. He could have gotten out and gone, see ya, wouldn't want to be ya. But no, he leaves him a clue, right? Come to Zawataneo. Go to a tree. And I've been to that tree. Unfortunately, you remember the tree that he finds?
Yes.
He got struck by lightning. It's not there anymore.
Oh, that's so sad.
It used to be part of the tour, and I went to, about 4 or 5 years ago it did. But, it's a great lesson in that, he didn't have to do that for him. Mm-hmm. But those relationships, you want to nurture those relationships, you want to give back, and he did. And so they were able to be together. Get busy living or get busy dying. I mean, that's I wake up every morning.
Talking about that, I actually made a note here, get busy living mindset. Can you explain to our viewers what you mean with it?
Yeah, absolutely. So what happened with COVID is that we got into this very sedentary, complacent space, right? And so my clients were calling me we were all freaking out. We're still kind of freaking out, right? And I lost my job. I one client of mine, she had 3 jobs. She lost, thank you, Kevin Moore. Thank you so much. Kevin, send me a text. I'd love to do a reading for you. So they would call me. It's like, I lost my 3 jobs. I don't know what to do. We're crying. I mean, the pain was, palpable throughout the world. And I said, okay, you've got 2 choices. Right? Because all my clients I was freaking out. I was losing stuff, right? And I said, you can either get busy living or get busy dying. Pick one. And they're like, what? I said, get busy living or get busy dying. Pick one. We can sit in the pool of despair and fear and freak out and so on and so forth, or we are going to be in action. You're not going to sit around all day eating marzipan, watching TV. Not going to happen, right? So I want you to come up with 10 actions that you're going to get done this week. Right. And I had to do the same thing. I have a life coach. I've had him for 4 years. I practice what I preach. And so I was doing the same thing. In that year of COVID, that first year, I finished 97 projects on my house.
Wow.
Stuff I didn't like. I
need a life coach.
I got a door that's stuck over here. Brent.
Yes. I'm telling you. And I'm not that person. I don't do that. I don't like trying to nail and a hammer. Please, are you kidding me? And so, but I'm like, nope, that's my fear. That's my thing. I have the time now, right? Most people in their lives, my life coaching clients, they said, what's your biggest complaint prior to COVID? I didn't have time. You have it now. You have it now. So what are you going to do with it? Get busy living or get busy dying? So you have to choose. Look at your life and say, am I living or am I dying? In my relationships, in my spirituality, in my career, in my church, in my faith, because I do a whole pie things. I do the whole aspect of your life. So the places that you're kind of dying, okay, let's work on that, right? Places that you're living, let's expand on that. And so the concept is, again, part of these 10 steps is you've got to be in action in those areas to where you're dying, right? And so we can create action steps to make that happen. Now, we were all dying as a world. Like literally, I've lost 19 friends to COVID, 19 people I know to COVID, right? I will be terribly transparent. I'm here at my grandmother's house because she passed away from COVID on Valentine's Day. So I'm here taking care of her house, and let me just say this to tie it all together. She's an adopted grandmother. I met her 27 years ago when I was doing a film called The Shawshank Redemption. And I knocked on her house and I said, hey, I'd love to rent the home that you have for rent. Right? And I said, I hear that it's for rent. She said, yeah, we have the RV in the back. Edna at that time was 70 something years old. And I rented her place for 4 months. her and her second husband would just travel all over the world. She would call me, hey, we're going to be back in Mansfield. Do you mind if we park behind the house? I'm like, it's your house. And she said, no, it's your house. I need to call you and ask your permission. And I said, oh my God. And I got to meet her, right? I put her and her husband in the film. They almost passed out when I recommended that, I said, would you like to be in it? And they're like, I'm sorry, what? I said, yeah, we'll put you in the courtroom scene. In a film? I was like, yeah, you'll be, and it was just so glorious to be able to share. So that's the other part, is share the value of who you are with other people. Share the value of who you are with other people, right? And so when I left, I said to her, I said, listen, it was so great. I love, I'm going to stay in contact with you, right? And I gave her the keys to the house. She said, oh no, you keep them. I said, and she was very worldly, very intuitive. I said, keep them. She said, yeah, you might need them. I said, I highly doubt I'm coming back to Mansfield, Ohio. She said, oh no, just keep them. So, okay, what the heck? I kept them. I've stayed in contact with her since 1994. About a year later, the executive producer of Shawshank calls me. He said, what are you doing? I said, nothing. I said, I'm kind of down. And he said, well, I'm working on this other project. It's not a lot of work, but it's about 6 weeks. I'm working on this film called Air Force One. And I said, that sounds easy. Yeah, we're going to go back to Mansfield, Ohio. We're going to shoot the Air Force scenes at Rickenbacker Air Force Base in Columbus, Ohio. Then we're going to be shooting in Cleveland, and then we're going to also shoot in Mansfield. We're going to use the prison when Radek gets out of the Russian prison. I said, oh, yeah, sign me up. Great. 6 weeks of work. Great. So then I'm like trying to organize. I said, hey, called Edna. Hey, Edna, I'm going to be back in Mansfield. I'm only going to be there for about 4 or 5 days, but or 6 weeks, 4 or 5 days in Mansfield. Is your house still available? And she said, yeah, it is. And then she goes, do you have your keys? And I was like, I do. She said, okay, just come in when you get in. And so I go there. Now, she represents so many of the lessons that I teach as well. And these are the masters that I've learned from. The Desmond Tutus, the Mother Teresas. I met Maya Angelou 4 times. So you get me and you get all the work that I've been doing since I was 13 years old that you might not have time. So I get there. I'll never forget this. And I said to her, oh my God, it's so good to see you, blah, blah, because we had called each other. I called her at least once a week. And I said, listen, I just made the entire rent out for the 6 weeks. I'm just going to pay you in full. If that's okay with you, it's the same amount. And she looked at me and she said, oh, silly, we don't charge family.
Oh, that is so amazing.
And
that is so amazing.
I've maintained that relationship for 27 years. She's been one of the greatest teachers. She's featured in my book, and unfortunately we lost her on Valentine's Day. So I'm here helping out the family. This is her house. This is the house I used to come every other summer and write for the book that comes out next year called The Red Balloon. So you want to nurture those relationships. I took a risk and kept the keys. She would say to me, do you ever try to explain who we are to your friends? I said, it would be impossible. And she said, yeah, me too. But they know who you are and they love you. And I said, yeah, they know who you are and they love you too. But we can't explain what is golden, what's beautiful, what it's like. But people, when they were around Ed and I, because I'm 58 now, and she died at 97. So I think we're exactly 40 years apart. But we just had the best time, right? So you want to nurture those relationships, invite those people in, you want to create action, look at the aspects of your life, again, career, family, relationships, all that. Am I dying or am I living? And if I'm dying, what do I need to do what actions do I need to take in order to get into a living mindset?
That makes me think of a Full Beat song. It also has a line in there that says, are you living to die or dying to live?
Right.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I feel that if we had another hour or 2 hours, we can sit and talk the whole day. This is the fastest hour ever. You have to come back. You please.
Oh, I would love it. I've so adored both of you. I've so adored this. I would love to come back. Like I said,
have you back.
Yeah, just text Java Delight to 760.
I've got your number. I'm gonna text you.
Okay. I'm texting you right now. I'm doing it right now. Yeah, I said I would bring a guest when I talked to Brandon. I do have this is my friend, Sophia.
Hi,
Sophie.
puppy.
Hi, Sophie.
She's
So
cute.
that's
She's
Sophia's.
camera shy. She's like giving us a good
She's a
time.
little, yeah, she was, because I just woke her up. But
No,
when
that's not the. I know you're involved in Hollywood. That is not the little white dog from the Anthony Hopkins movie.
No, not at all. Sophie does. She does. No. Yeah, she got paid really well. My running joke is that Sophie gets $3,000 an hour and she gets to keep her clothes on. It's no, she's a therapy dog. She works with me with my life coaching. Sometimes, in fact, we're doing 10 programs for Riverside Mental Health at the end of October. And she comes on stage. By the time she's done speaking, yes, she speaks. The kids are just in tears and motivated and empowered. But I think when Fernando sent me the thing, I sent a picture of her. He goes, "You've got to bring her. You've got to bring her." I was like, "Okay, I will." I've adored this. I've adored this. I'd love to come back.
Oh, please, we're definitely going to get you back. How we finish off the show is we just give people a little nugget of information or words to go by or a lesson or whatever, some words of inspiration. So I'll go first and then Jessica can go and then you can go last. And then you can somewhat tell the people where they can reach you.
Sure.
And get you to be their life coach.
Sure.
Awesome. So I'll go first. Hi guys, this has been one amazing episode, and I actually pulled a card again this morning for the show, and I want to show you. It says squash the ego. So it reads at the back, it says humility attracts, egotism repels. The modest and the humble are magnets for love and support. The big-headed and the arrogant invite enemies and emptiness. Empower your humility to squash your ego. Guys, please go. Look at Brett's website and Brent, thank you for the information and the stories that you came to tell us. I hope so that we can see you again. And I'm definitely going to shoot you a text. I am your new best friend, okay? So please do not block me.
No. We don't block people.
Bye, guys. You must have an amazing Wednesday. It's Wellness Wednesday. Look after your mental health. Look after your wellness. Drink water. Get enough sleep and be kind to one another.
It was so good to be on and spend some time with you today, Ilse, and also Bob earlier, and then Brent finishing out the show. Such an amazing conversation, and I feel that way too, that we could have sat and talked for 12 more hours and we wouldn't have been done yet. We talked a lot about many different things at the start of the show. And one of those things that I brought to the table was about communication. And there's a quote from Tony Robbins that says, to effectively communicate, we must realize that we are all different in the way we perceive the world and use this understanding as a guide to our communication with others. So look at the way that you're communicating to others. Look at the way that you are being received. Look at the way that you are how are you listening to others, and all of these different aspects of communication, because these relationships that we have with people are such a huge part of our wellness. And that's it for Wellness Wednesday. Thanks for having me here today.
Hey, thank you so much. Again, Jessica and Elsa, thank you so much for having me. Yes, we could have spoken for hours and hours. I so look forward to coming back. You just let me know. Again, my name is Brent Scarpo, BRENTSCARPO, as you can see. My phone number is 760-835-3327. Just text Java Delight, and we will set up a complimentary, strategic, intuitive consultation so that we can get you started on a path, especially given the challenge that we have. I love what Jessica and Elsa shared. When I was listening to their wisdom, I thought of another time where we had been in just a bad place, and that was 2008. In 2008, especially here in the United States, the economy just crashed. I will be transparent and say I nearly lost everything. But again, I have a life coach. And so I remember going to a financial seminar, and this is about a year later, and the place was packed, right? Because so much of what we lost was due to finances and the economy and real estate. And there was about 300 people in the room, and the guy was an amazing speaker. And he said, listen, I know we've all lost a lot. People have lost their homes. They've been homeless, their jobs. He said, so I know the number one question is, what kind of investment should I make with my money, right? And he said, is it stocks? Is it real estate? Is it gold? Is it annuities? Let's just answer that question right now. And people started pulling out, pencil and paper and iPads and they were, their phone, because they were going to answer the question that we had all been wondering, because we had lost so much money, so much of ourselves. And he wrote on the board, the number one investment that you should make is in yourself. And then he turned around and said, there is no gold. There is no real estate. There is no silver. There's no annuity that is 100% safe. He said, but this, your heart, corazon, when you invest in that, no one can ever take that away from you. And so I ask you to make the greatest investment in yourself today, and whatever areas that you might be dying, whatever areas that you might be living, and to invest in yourself knowing that you are worthy, so that you can invest in yourself, so that you become strong, so that you can invest in others. And that's what my message is all about.
One. Now I missed him. Where's he now?
I don't know.
I am so, Brent, if I cut you off, I am so sorry. I just want to say thank you to everybody for being here today. Thanks for Jessica. Thanks for helping me out. Uncle Bob, thank you. You guys are loved and blessed and everything. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Bye, everybody.
That is it. Bye. Thank you for saving my baby.